says you need a vacation for a view like this? Or, I wish there was a place to get in shape. Try getting on the beaten path. Discover an ever-expanding network of trails and greenways. Some quintessential southern beauty. Or romp through the woods in a magical land between the rivers. There's more to explore than you ever imagined. Beyond the swing sets. Breck, we are more than a playground.
Hi, business owners. Phase 3. Woohoo! But do your customers know you're back? Well, that's where the Clarence Bugg Show and Pelican Broadcasting can help. Right now, we've got great rates on advertising packages to help you get the word out. Shoot me an email at bugsclarence@gmail.com. Or better yet, call me up. I'd love to talk with you. 225-485-6839. Let's get together and make Phase 3 the best it can possibly be.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
Of the Roger Cador Show, Clarence Buggs along with the coach. How are you today, young man?
I was doing good until Marty showed up.
Well, you win.
Where's
some.
Alan? That's all we need.
You win some, you lose some. You know what they call that? Life.
Life. Good thing we have Kate and Jonathan in the truck. I know we'll be okay.
There you go. Obviously, the entire college football world, the news since the last time we were with our audience at home. LSU and Coach Ed Orgeron agreeing to a parting of the ways. Any surprise for you regarding the timing of it all, Coach?
It's not surprising, but I love the class in which this was handled. Mm-hmm. You have to admire Scott
Woodward.
Yeah, and the way he handled this whole thing. But not only that, his administrators, his board of supervisors, the president, they all got together. They did this thing right.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't get it right. They got it right.
Yeah, and to his credit, that's been one of his strong suits. Scott Woodward, the guy knows how to get a deal done, and the reverse side of that is how you undo something. My late father, God bless him, was fond of telling his kids there's a right way and a wrong way to do anything. And this was the right way.
Oh, it was really the right way. I mean, he could have get angry and fired him after the Kentucky game.
Right.
You know, he fired him, but it wasn't known.
Right.
That's
right.
He didn't publicly make it known, but you know, it was just done with a subtleness, the class. What it did. It didn't unravel the players, which he had to think about. It was not just the coach. He had a program he had to think about, how it's going to affect the players. It did with so much calmness, the players couldn't say anything.
Yeah. Speaking of the players, obviously there are some there that were privileged to be a part of what is arguably the greatest season in the history of college football. The 2019 accomplishments will probably never be equaled again. But should it say something to us? What does it say? I know it says something. I'll leave to you to fill in the blank. What does it say about 2019 didn't buy a whole lot of grace, did it?
No, because this is the business that we're in nowadays. It happened at Auburn. It happened at LSU. I mean, this is what we're in. But remember, Coach O won that championship, went undefeated. But he was not the guy that they really wanted.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
there was always that faction didn't want Coach O to get that job.
That's right. Didn't want him to do it under pressure. And when so many things happened, I think it was an article in the paper this morning when he lost his team, when the kids were protesting Black Lives Matter and he didn't support them.
Right.
I think with Scott Woodward, that said a lot because Nick Saban wouldn't have allowed the players to go out there without supporting them.
Right.
Let's face it, they're young people. It's a movement on.
Yeah.
Come on, don't let them do it by yourself because now when they went to the president with it, the president wasn't happy. So it messed up a lot of stuff for Coach O.
Yeah.
And it was a mistake that he couldn't recover from.
A lot of folks that were really behind Coach O and the program did so because they were enamored with the idea that we finally have one of us leading the flagship university's football program. We got a guy that appreciates Louisiana culture, Louisiana cuisine, lagniappe. The guy's one of us. You're not going to find anybody on the planet that loves LSU and Louisiana more than this guy. How do you think that segment of the Tiger fan base is viewing all of this?
Go Tigers! Well, they're hurt by it because he's one of them. He talk like a Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
He's Louisiana through and through.
Yeah.
And so they're not happy with it. They felt he got the short end of the stick. But when you start putting a lot of stuff on the table and they look at numbers, numbers is what drives so much.
Yeah.
They start putting things on the table. This happened. And it's not the end of it. We still have that lawsuit. Title IX lawsuit.
And that was going to be the next question. What does your gut tell you? Was this predicated more on on-field issues or off-the-field
It's
issues?
a combination of both,
thereof.
Clarence. It's going to be easier to deal with this lawsuit with him away from coaching than with him there. Because, again, if he's there and his name keep popping up in the lawsuit, it's going to take away from the performance of the concentration that he as a coach can give his staff and players.
Some people might question firing a guy this soon after the accomplishments of 2019. What does your gut tell you? Will this scare away any potential applicants for the job, or is the LSU brand so big, nationally recognized program, facilities second to none? Will the LSU brand overrule all of that?
$9 million, Clarence. $9 million.
That overrules a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's going to suck in and attract a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I think the brand is not going to scare them off. The big 105 or 10,000 seat stadium is an enticement. The biggest concern any coach is going to have, I mean, the SEC, how do I beat Nick Saban?
Right.
How do I beat Jimbo Fisher?
Right.
You got me?
Oh, yeah.
How do I beat Kirby Smart? Those are the names and teams that you got to beat.
Oh, yeah.
And Florida could be a player that, even though they're down this year, but those are the teams you're going to have to beat. And that's where the question comes in to any applicant who is thinking, there's a lot of people you got to overjump.
Those folk that might be interested in the position. As a Louisiana guy, as a coach for decades on decades, as a guy that knows LSU fans and what they're all about, what advice would you give to the next person considering throwing their hat into the ring to head this program?
Don't come talk to me. I don't know. I would tell them. Well, the thing is, it's not, I really don't know the answer. Because as a coach, I wouldn't have been enticed by the money.
Right.
Because happiness is so much more important.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And the minute they give them the money, they're going to expect them to win right out of the box.
Oh, yeah.
And are they going to be able to do that right out of the box? Maybe not. Mm-hmm. I don't know what kind of players. A lot of kids are injured, and I don't know what kind of recruit they have that hadn't performed up to their expectation.
Right.
And what's out there after Alabama, Georgia, Florida, after all these people take their players, can you get the rest? You got me?
Right.
And so that's my biggest concern is that, how quick can he win? I'm thinking, based upon what I read, they need to be successful by 2025 because Texas, Oklahoma comes in, and they can't afford to be in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
They have to be
Good
1,
point.
2, and maybe 3.
Yeah.
Because again, Alabama is going to be number 1.
Oh, yeah.
And Georgia and Texas A&M. Texas A&M is the one that scares me because they got the most money.
Oh, yeah.
You got me?
That endowment is crazy.
And they're in the great state of Texas.
Yep.
So, so it's going to be an interesting scenario. Remember, LSU won the championships when nobody expected them to win.
Right.
It's a little tougher when people expect you to win.
Oh, yeah.
See, there was no pressure on Coach O to win in 19.
Right. They want you to just build, gradually get better, look good, losing, whatever. They didn't expect this to happen, especially this quickly and to that magnitude.
And he ended up, when the transfer happened with Burroughs, it changed everything.
Oh, yeah.
It changed everything because now he had skilled players, running back, receivers, DBs. He had skilled players, and they were able to win.
Yep.
And they stuck together. They stuck together. See, we talk a lot about coaches. LSU beat Florida. It wasn't nothing the coaches did that caused them to beat Florida. It was the players, Clarence.
Oh, yeah.
The players decided they were going to take matters into their hand. That's right. So we're going to give coaches credit for it, but in the end of the day, it was the doing players who decided they weren't going to take no for an answer.
When all is said and done, what do you think Coach O will learn from this experience?
You got to work harder after you're successful than when you are.
Getting to the promised land is one thing. Staying there is something else.
And that's when you got to work harder to stay there.
Yeah.
I think, and he even admitted it. He allowed people to recommend coaches for him, and they were bad. He didn't do his work
Right.
in determining who the coaches should be. He took the advice of
Someone
people he
else.
trusted.
Yeah.
But when you hire coaches, you got to make sure they're the right fit.
Because the buck stops with you ultimately.
Yeah. And, it's hard sometimes. When Brady left and Burroughs left, it was just tough to replace that combination.
Oh, yeah.
Then the defensive coordinator left, and then they got Bo Pelina, who didn't do a good job.
Nope. And then to compound all of that, you throw COVID in the mix.
COVID.
And all the injuries to the team this season.
And, the personal things that happened just made it just was a little bit too much. Too much. His personal life got thrown in there. You know what I'm saying? And I never like to talk about people with their personal life because things happen.
Yeah.
And people ought to not bring that stuff in, but they do.
You think he'll coach again?
Oh, yeah. I think he's 60 years old. He's won a national championship. Would it be a big school? Probably not. But he'll coach.
Right.
Because how many people out there who won a national championship?
Yeah, good point.
There ain't that many people.
Good point. Well, believe it or not, there was actually an LSU football game.
Really?
This weekend. Believe it or not. We'll talk about that when we come back on segment 2 of this week's edition of the Roger Cador Show. Stay close.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Hey, Coach Roger Cador here. There's something about teamwork that brings the best out in any business. When I need a tow, I call Roadrunner Towing. Roadrunner's 4 generations strong and homegrown right here in Baton Rouge.
Thanks, Coach. There's no job too large or too small. Call Roadrunner for quick, reliable, exceptional service. We don't want an arm and a leg. We just want your toes. And remember, take time each day to be a blessing to someone. Thank you.
Looking to get some keys made, locks rekeyed, or a wide variety of new and used safe? Then look no further than the trusted choice of Alfred Safe and Lock, conveniently located off of Government Street in Mid-City, Baton Rouge. Trust the expert locksmith at Alfred for all of your residential, commercial, and industrial lock and safe needs. Trusted by Baton Rouge and me, Roger Cador, to protect what is yours since 1946.
Some Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge. Some don't. The ones that do know BTR is all about being closer, more convenient, with non-stops and short hops to anywhere their business takes them. They also know not flying BTR means more traffic, longer lines, and wasted time. So if it's about going from driveway to runway with a lot less highway, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport. It's about time.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back to segment 2 of week 7 of the Roger Cador Show. Believe it or not, there was a football game in Tiger Stadium this weekend. The nationally ranked Florida Gators coming to town and going back home with a 49-42 loss. When I looked at the game, Coach, watched it, I came away saying the Tigers, at least in this particular instance, played with pride, especially on the offensive side of the ball. They played like we're LSU. And despite what our record is, despite what we hear grumblings and rumblings about, we still put on the purple and gold, and we're going to play like it. It looked to me like that was the mindset that they had.
Yeah, and they did something that they've been trying to do all year, run the ball.
Run the football.
You know, and that's just why I tell people don't, you know, it takes time sometimes to put the thing. And, you know, that those big offensive linemen did the job.
Oh, yeah.
They priced him on the running room, and he took advantage of it. And so now if they could keep the combination going, you know, with the running and the passing, I think they can salvage a good part of this season.
And when you consider that typically the run game frees up the passing game, even with the losses of receivers, we've seen now that there's some very talented freshmen and other underclassmen that can carry that load, even though Butte is no longer suiting up.
That's right. I'm telling you, and I tell you, with the announcement of Coach O will no longer be the coach after this year, I think it freed up a lot of tension and pressure for him, for certain. And now his coaches can maybe do a better job. They already know the fate.
True.
You know.
And what do you have to lose at this point?
Yeah, and now they're coaching. They're going to work harder to try and salvage a job. You know, so I think it was a brilliant move on on the part of the AD and Coach Ocho agreed upon this matter.
The offensive line, if I had game balls to give out, they'd probably be the first in line to get one. I mean, Ty Davis Price did what he did, but you can't do that without the offensive line picking up their share of the load.
They remind me of Allen blocking for Marty, opening that hole up, and letting him run through. Actually, boy, Florida supposedly had a really good defense. They really chewed them up.
Yep.
I mean, broke some long runs, and so it was good. That was good for them.
What is it with LSU running backs? If you have a hyphenated name, you're a heck of a running back. Ty Davis Price, 36 carries, 287 yards, and 3 TDs. That's just flat out amazing, Coach.
Someone else with that hyphen name?
Well, yeah, just before him was
I'm sorry.
brain lock.
That's okay.
Running back, former LSU running back, Marty, with the hyphenated name.
Marty doesn't know.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, okay.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, now Ty Davis Price, all with a hyphenated name. All of them just, phenomenal running backs. But that was truly an amazing performance.
It really was, and I saw big 57 or maybe 75 for LSU. Was hurt early in the game.
Right.
He looked to the sideline, nobody looked, and he was limping, and he went back into the huddle. And I said, that's the way to do it.
That's hard. That's hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, he was his leg, so he kept seeing those kinds of things are contagious.
Oh, yeah.
Because your teammate sees all of that. They know what's going on more than the coaches.
Well, we have highlights from that encounter at Tiger Stadium. So, guys, girls, in the truck, if you will, you can roll those highlights as Coach and I continue our conversation. Max Johnson, 14 to 24, 3 TDs, respectable performance in the air. And obviously, his job was made a whole lot easier by the offensive line and Ty Davis Price.
Well, let me say this. Even though Johnson didn't throw a lot of passes, the 3 touchdowns are key.
Oh, yeah.
And something that we don't get to talk about is that in the red zone, LSU has scored 18 out of 18 times.
Yeah.
Alabama doesn't do that.
Nope.
So we overlook some of the good things that they've done because of the losses that they've had.
Right.
But you got to look at the fact that they've been pretty much efficient. We just got to try and find the positive.
One thing that really stood out, and you brought it to my memory just now as we watch this interception, 3 starters in the defensive secondary were out, and they still get 4 interceptions.
Well, I really think they're playing so much better with those guys out. There ain't no pressure. You got to be careful when guys are NFL on their mind.
Right.
They play for the NFL. You got me?
A lot, and I heard a lot of fans say the guys that played like they wanted to be there.
Yes, they wanted to be there, but they were following. You could tell what their coaches have been teaching. They were doing, and that's what I try to look for.
Yeah.
What are they doing? They're peeling off the ball when it's thrown. It ain't just say it's your man.
Right.
When the ball goes in the area, they go into that ball. And that's how some of the interception occurred.
Now, it's one thing to get 4 interceptions defensively during the course of the game, but you turn 3 of those 4 interceptions into touchdowns. That's the difference between a team that can be good and a team that can be great. You make the opposition pay when the opportunity presents itself.
I'll agree with you. The one little negative on that in the half, when they gave up a touchdown with no time on the clock.
Right.
That was the only. Other than that, the LSU played pretty good. Now, they scored a lot of points defensively, but that's okay. I mean, they won the game. George Allen, you say you're going to bend, but you're never going to break.
As a matter of fact, LSU only trailed once in the game when the score was 6-0. They battled their butts off throughout the course of this game, Coach, and that's something that I don't know we could readily say we've seen in every other game.
Right. Oh, no, we haven't seen that. But you know what? Again, Clarence, this win has done a lot of good things for their psychic.
Mm-hmm.
And they go into Ole Miss this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
With a chance to win.
Yeah.
Now, if everything is right from what I heard, the Ole Miss quarterback,
he's
doubtful.
He's a little beat up. Yeah.
When you run him 30 times, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know.
And watching the replay from the Ole Miss game this weekend, it was not just him running, but the punishment that he absorbed while running. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Of course, now Coach O did jokingly say, y'all have to understand, I know Lane Kiffin better than a lot of people. And the fact of the matter is, never put past Lane Kiffin him putting up a smoke screen to distract you from what the reality actually is.
Could be.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things when you know someone, they coach together at SC, right?
Right.
So they know each other pretty good.
Uh-huh.
You know.
So, don't put all your eggs in one basket preparing for the second string guy when all of a sudden you looked up and, it's a miracle. It's a miraculous recovery. He's ready to go. But that's part of the chess game that's coaching, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a chess game.
Mm-hmm.
And, so you use all of the tools in the toolbox that you can to get a psychological edge.
Uh-huh.
So if they can get that psychological edge by having them think somebody else is doing it and not think about the real guy, then you've lost that edge.
Yeah. Based on your years of experience, watching teams of young people deal with adversity in this area, that area, another area, what does your gut tell you? Where's the team's head right now after this big win over a ranked opponent, and then the coach gets fired? Where do you think their heads are right now?
I really think it's in a good place because of the way it happened. They beat Florida.
Right.
And the smoothness of the transition.
Mm-hmm. That makes all the difference in the world.
Make a difference. It's just like a parent. Mm-hmm. If you're yelling and screaming at your kid, that kid is going to rebel probably.
Probably.
But if you, with calmness, talk to them about why are you punishing them.
Right.
They'll probably more readily accept it. So that's the same thing with what happened with the AD and Coach O, is that this thing was done so professional in a calm manner. Coach O accepted it.
Right.
He even told the media a lot of it was his fault.
Right.
That's why they weren't successful.
Yeah.
And he take responsibility.
And he also said he knew that after the Kentucky game, when he got a private visit, he knew then, okay, guess what's coming, guess who's coming to dinner after this.
Was it Allen?
No. No.
Was it Marty?
No, wasn't Marty. It was a heavier hitter than either Allen or Marty. Of course, now, you mentioned something about the smoothness of the transition, how it eases what could have been a lot of ruffled feathers. That may have been the best thing to happen, because the fact of the matter is the road does not in any way, shape, or form get any easier from here on out, because the next three opponents are all ranked in the top 25.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier. I think, like I said, all of this was really orchestrated so well. They looked at the schedule. They could have done it after the Kentucky game.
Right.
Not good. You're going into homecoming.
Not going into homecoming.
Negative. It'd be negative.
Yeah.
Boy, you go and beat Florida at homecoming.
Right.
Hey, this is the time.
Yeah.
Let's get it done now.
Yeah.
I really think this would happen at a better time in a better situation. So
personally, I would love nothing more than for this team to run the table throughout the season, send the coach out on a real high note, not to make the administration or the decision they made look bad or anything like that, but for the benefit of the program. And let's face it, there are going to be some kids that are entertaining, do I stay or do I go? Not knowing who the new guy is going to be, who the new coaches are going to be, what the philosophy is going to be. There's going to be some doubt there. And I would love nothing more than for this team to win out the rest of the way, as tough a road as they have to hoe, because you never know what kids might say, you know what, after the run that we made with the group that we have here, if they bring in anybody that's halfway decent as a coach, we're going to do some great things next year, and they may stick around. Because with the transfer portal and things being as easy as it is to jump ship these days, I would be afraid to guess how many of those young men are already looking around to see what the plan B for them happens to be. Just saying.
Well, I agree with you to that extent that, that's one of the reasons, too, they probably had to do it then because of the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Can't lose too many top flight recruits. But the beauty of having it, they can't go right in and play right now. They would have to sit out. And guys don't want to sit out.
Nah, not these days.
Not if they're playing. They ain't going to go somewhere and say, man, I ain't going to sit out.
You
know
sit
what
out.
I'm saying? Yeah, but if it was the COVID-19 situation
Right.
where you could leave and be eligible right away, you had to be concerned.
Yeah.
But there is the good players ain't going to leave. It's the kids, like Corey Wilson, I guess, is the wide receiver from Metairie. He's going to take off because he ain't playing.
Yeah.
Those guys going to leave.
And that's hard to argue with.
Yeah,
When we come back, we're going to shift gears. We've already covered the purple and gold, top to bottom. Time for some talk about blue and gold. That's next when we continue today's edition of the Roger Cador Show. Stay close.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with The Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Hello, guys. It's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Smart Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge because BTR is so close and convenient, they're always one step ahead, rather than dead on their feet. So, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport.
Who says you need a vacation for a view like this? Or, I wish there was a place to get in shape. Try getting on the beaten path. Discover an ever-expanding network of trails and greenways. Some quintessential Southern beauty. Or romp through the woods in a magical land between the rivers. There's more to explore than you ever imagined. Beyond the swing sets. Breck, we are more than a playground.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Roger Cador Show. Coach, the Southern Jaguars, we talked about this week before last. After dropping a heartbreaker of a loss to Texas Southern on the road. We wondered whether or not there would be any sort of hangover from that, or we would find out in no uncertain terms what this team is really made of. They hit the road again, head up to the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, and dismantle the Golden Lions 34-7. Obviously, no hangover for the Jags after that loss.
Usually you have a hangover after a victory, not a loss. You're usually going to play a little harder after a loss. And they did that, and they really played good defense, which is important. And they continue to do things offensively that are impressive.
Yeah.
It's just the key now, if they can sustain their defensive prowess and make sure going into this weekend game, they can contain Prairie View.
Yeah. What I call affectionately the traveling road show finally comes to an end. Back at Mumford for the next 4 games. That's got to feel good to finally get all of that travel behind you.
Are the fans coming?
They better. Hint, hint. I mean, you're talking Prairie View, which is
undefeated,
and you are talking about potentially a spot in the conference championship game, and that's going to be the case pretty much for every one of the games from this point on out. But you are the one that always talks about the advantage of sleeping in your own bed, not having to entertain all the other things that make sure that the road trip is a successful one. It's got to feel pretty darn good to finally reach that point where you don't have to worry about where you're going to be sleeping, packing the bag, where we're going to eat, et cetera, et cetera.
I agree. That's always a good thing. As a player, I love playing at home. There was some venues I love traveling to play.
Right.
But, playing at home is unique. And that bed you're broken in, and you can lay a certain way.
Spot in there.
You lay right there. And, so it's nothing like it,
What you mentioned, does any one or two venues come to mind that even though you had to hit the road, you had to pack up the team, you had to make sure all the logistical things were taken care of, you just look forward to playing those venues?
I love going to Grambling, not necessarily playing the Grambling, because of the unique rivalry that existed there. And later on in my coaching career was Texas Southern.
Really?
Those two, that was the rivalry. It was bigger than Grambling.
Right.
And, and when Mike Robertson went at Prairie View, before he left there, the rivalry was big between Southern and Prairie View.
Right.
Then he went to Texas Southern, and then it just was a wonderful rivalry.
A lot of people don't realize just how far back and how deep rivalries go with Southern and Prairie View.
They really don't. I want to mention another rivalry that's from 1985, 86 to 2001.
Right.
Was Jackson State and Southern.
Oh yeah.
We played. One of the two teams won the championship each year in that period, except for 3 times. From 86 to 2001. You know how many years?
That's 15 years. Yeah.
Either Southern or Jackson won the championship every year except for 2 or 3 times.
Wow. Well, we have highlights from the Jaguars' encounter with the Golden Lions of the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, so we'll roll those highlights as we continue our conversation. Not to be outdone by Ty Davis Price having a career day. Freshman running back Kobe Dillon, 14 carries, 268 yards. That's not a bad day's work, Coach.
Oh no, that's a real good day's work. And they've been doing this all year, Claire. They've run the ball really good. And so they keep it up, and now they play defense. If they could balance what they're doing out, it gives them a good chance to beat the teams at home.
And of course, we would be remiss in our duty if, like when we gave props and credit to the O-line for the LSU Tigers, got to do the same thing for the Jaguars, because there's no way Kobe Dillon would have been able to rack up almost 300 yards if the big uglies up front hadn't been handling their business.
Well, they were the big beauties in mine.
The big ugly beauties.
Yeah. Oh, you're big, but you're beautiful.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think out of and watching this game, and even more so as I watched last night the highlight replays, the Dog Day defense, we had just talked about the week before. I don't know about the Dog Day D. I don't know if they're aware of the legacy that they're supposed to uphold when they put on that uniform. The Dog Day defense held Pine Bluff to 207 total yards, only 62 yards on the ground. That's what, 15 point some odd yards per quarter. That's shutting the opponent's ground game completely down.
Well, that's how you win games. That's why the score is 34-7.
34-7.
You don't give them a chance to mount any kind of momentum.
Yeah.
You know.
Of course, now, and I had to caution myself as I was digesting all of this, that win, 34-7, complete domination. As a matter of fact, if I remember correct, UAPB did not get that 7 points until inside 2 minutes left to go in the game. All that being said, this win, does it make the TSU loss that much more painful because you no longer control your own destiny outright? Or is this just a case where, Clarence, you know better than anybody, you can't cry over spilt milk?
I think you nailed it, the second part of your question. Why cry? Why worry about?
Yeah.
Why worry about the TSU? It's history.
Yeah.
Water under the bridge.
Yeah.
You know, spill milk. Find another adjective. Adjective.
Yeah.
You got to think about what's ahead of you. You know, and that's why I guess in the beginning when God created things, He created for us to be positive and look forward rather than look backward.
Kind of why
he put the eyes
in the front instead of in the back. Yeah. Next 4 games at home, and while we can't use the old adage, control your own destiny, you're still in the hunt for this thing. If you win out, you've only got that one loss. It's a fairly safe bet Texas Southern is not going to be in the championship hunt.
They lost already.
So that loss to them will not impact into a 3 or 4-way tie. No. So you can still, if you handle your business yourself, you can still go to the championship.
Oh, yes. There's a lot of opportunities. You just got to beat Prairie View first this weekend and not look at Jackson.
Right.
Beat Prairie View. That's the only thing you can look at now.
You're
not good enough to even think about beyond there.
Yeah.
Even the good teams don't think beyond what's there. They got to figure, how do I climb that wall first?
Yeah. UAPB won their first game of the season. They've now dropped 5 in a row. Not a good look, Coach. That program, it seems like they struggle year to year with consistency. You look up one year, they're world beaters. The very next year, 1-5. It just no consistency there.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about schools like that. You know, they don't have the consistency because of the budgets and some other things.
Right.
So, you know, you got to admire Alcorn, though.
Oh, yeah.
Small school, but it's got a tradition.
Yep.
And they have consistency.
That's right.
In the state of Mississippi, where they don't have a lot of colleges, they can get kids who want to stay in the state and do very well.
Yeah. You know, consistency is a wonderful thing. And if you are like me, you consistently, when you spend your hard-earned money, You want great service, you want a great selection, and you want great service after the sale. Consistency is what they pride themselves on in all of these arenas at Outdoor Powerhouse. Kawasaki, Suzuki, Sea-Doo, Can-Am, Polaris, you name it, they sell it. Not only that, but they've got a 25,000 square foot facility that can take care of all of your needs. Whether you want a new or used, a new or pre-owned motorcycle, ATV, personal watercraft, side-by-side, doesn't matter. They truly are the outdoor powerhouse. 2323 Florida Boulevard. Go see them. Short drive, scenic drive to Denham. And if you like lanyap and the concept of a little something extra, you owe it to yourself. Go see our friends over at Outdoor Powerhouse. So glad and so proud to have them on board as the latest sponsor of the Roger Cador Show. Final break of today's show. We'll get her done, come back and wrap it all up as we continue week 7 of the Roger Cador Show here on the Pelican. Stay close.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Looking to get some keys made, locks rekeyed, or a wide variety of new and used safe? Then look no further than the trusted choice of Alfred Safe and Lock, conveniently located off of Government Street in Mid-City, Baton Rouge. Trust the expert locksmith at Alfred for all of your residential, commercial, and industrial lock and safe needs. Trusted by Baton Rouge and me, Roger Cador, to protect what is yours since 1946. Hey, Coach Roger Cador here. There's something about teamwork that brings the best out in any business. When I need a tow, I call Roadrunner Towing. Roadrunner's 4 generations strong and homegrown right here in Baton Rouge.
Thanks, Coach. There's no job too large or too small. Call Roadrunner for quick, reliable, exceptional service. We don't want an arm and a leg. We just want your toes. And remember, take time each day to be a blessing to someone. Thank you.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back for the final segment of today's edition of the Roger Cador Show. Coach, I got to spend a little time with a mutual friend of ours over the weekend. I was blessed to fill in for Ro Brown during the play-by-play on WBOK. Shout out to the good folks in New Orleans for homecoming for St. Aug and Westgate out of New Iberia. Our mutual friend, Barrett Ray, former player of yours, former assistant coach, is now the athletic director for that esteemed institution. Another proud Papa moment for Big Papa Roger Cador.
Was Henry Baptiste also there with you?
No, he might maybe in the other press box.
Okay. Yeah, well, a proud Papa Mama with Barrett, who not only was a successful coach at Grambling and Alcorn.
Correct.
And he beat me in the 2011 championship game.
I wasn't going to bring that up.
But won the first championship ever in baseball at Alcorn.
Yeah. You are a person that's always big, always has been on relationships. And it was just so cool that when Barrett first came to Baton Rouge as a player, one Sunday he stopped in at our church and looking for a place to worship while he matriculated at Southern. And of course, like just about all other churches, at the beginning of service, you have a period where you welcome visitors, thank them for coming, so on and so forth. And I could tell he was new because I'd never seen him at this church before. So I just Made it a point to go up, introduce myself, try to make him feel welcome. And he ended up joining the church, ended up staying there. You never know what's going to come out of a relationship. Is that why you're so big on relationships?
Well, I don't know how to do it any other way.
Yeah.
You have to develop and cultivate
Uh-huh.
relationship because you never know.
That's right.
I tell people you never know because there's a thing that exists. You always need somebody to help you. You don't know whether it's a small or big thing, but we all need help.
That's right.
And relationships makes it easy to receive help.
Amen. Amen. You mentioned Jackson State moments ago when we were talking about rivalries over time. Coach Prime, Neon, Dion, Prime Time, Coach Prime, as he likes to be called now up to number 20 in the FCS Coaches Top 25 poll. He has... He's starting to make some believers out of people, I do believe, Coach.
Well, it's going to take him another year or so.
Oh, easily.
Easily, so he can incorporate his players. Those players he's bringing in and getting them coached the right way, getting them on a good strength program, and learning what he wants done.
Yeah.
They have to learn what he wants done. And then go from there. I just think he's got a chance to do some wonderful thing, but people need to give him time. And his son is going to be a much better quarterback next year than he is this year.
Oh, without a doubt. Also, in that FCS Top 25 coaches poll, Florida A&M and Prairie View both received votes. They didn't land a place, but they received votes in that regard. You got to wonder, and not really wonder, you got to tip your hat and be thankful to watch this evolution happen. But with Dion taking the reins at Jackson State, there's probably more exposure on a national level now for HBCU football than maybe any time in our lifetimes.
Oh, certainly it is. It's a shame that it came so late and didn't come when they had all those great players and teams that was in the SWAC and other historical black colleges. But life is such, you have to take it when it does appears, when it comes, and make the best out of it. That's really what life is. Make the best of the situation now.
And of course, how many times have we heard when life gives you lemons, you make a pitcher of lemonade?
That's right. That's exactly what you have to do. You don't want to cry about, things, how things were back then. We read about them.
Right.
We were told stories about them. So we know the history.
Right.
But now is the time for us to develop our own history with the things we have to work with.
This awakening of exposure for HBCU football, I noticed in recent memory, more and more athletes, and the latest to add his name to the list, NFL Hall of Famer Edgerrin James, announcing this week that his son, that I think is a 4-star recruit, has decided he wants to play for Howard University.
Good academic school. And, that's a good choice. I like that. I didn't know about that, but that's good to hear that his son is want to play over there. And I think there will be more and more kids who are choosing that path. It's a slow progress, Clarence.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't happen overnight. What happened
it's
to us?
It's not going to be fixed overnight either.
It's going to take time. It's going to take your right administrators to be in place and say, athletic is the window that people are going to look through at the university through. Until we realize that, then you can't expect athletics to be more than what it is.
One of the things that really saddened me over the last week, and I wanted to get your take on this, it's the time of year where at institutions of higher learning all across the country, it's homecoming. And the time when we show the pride that we have in our universities. We go back where we matriculated and became men and women. 2 shootings at our HBCUs here in Louisiana over the last week during the homecoming festivities. 2 at Grambling, 1 at Southern. The Southern case, fortunately, no fatalities there. But at Grambling, in one of the shootings, a young man lost his life. None of the individuals involved were students at either Southern or Grambling. But it reminded me, as a kid growing up, anytime I set foot on Southern's campus, I had a different mindset because I knew I was surrounded by individuals seeking wisdom, seeking knowledge, trying to be better than they were, to be better people. Seems like we've kind of lost some of that, Coach.
Well, you mentioned none of them were students and in both situations. So that's really what is going on when people like that who comes out of the community or wherever they come from and go into a college or higher learning and perpetuate that kind of criminal act.
Right.
It only brings a bad name to innocent people, to a good university, and we can't stop everything that happened negative.
Right.
We can only try to educate people and say, don't come here with that stuff.
Yeah, come out and condemn it in no uncertain terms.
Don't come here with that. We're here for a whole different reason, and it's just sad, but
because what hurt more than anything is the fact that not only in the Grambling scenario did a young person lose his life.
Yes.
He'll never reach his full potential, never have the opportunity to be who he could have been. But whenever they catch the perpetrator,
yes,
he's facing a charge of second-degree murder. And in Louisiana, for those that don't know, second-degree murder is punishable by a mandatory sentence of life in prison with no probation, no pardon, no parole. So this 19-year-old is now dead, will never live up to his full potential, and another young black man will be off to prison for the rest of his life with no chance of probation, pardon, or parole. That's just a lose-lose all the way across the board.
Well, it's two families that are affected.
Yep.
See, people got to understand that. When this kind of stuff happens, it's more than one family affected. It's
That's right.
2 or 3 or 4.
Yeah. I was going to say, you could add another in there. There is the family of the victim, there's the family of the perpetrator, and then there's the university family. Those kids that came there wanting nothing more than a better shot at a better life and trying to be the best person they can be. We as a community, we've got to band together, y'all, and let our young people know that this is not acceptable in no uncertain terms. Pure and simple, because at the end of the day, it's our future that we're talking about. That's going to do it for week 7 of the Roger Cador Show. On behalf of the coach, Alan, Katie, out in the truck, Jonathan, all your hard work back at the studio, and floor producer extraordinaire, Mighty, we thank you kindly for joining us and look forward to seeing you next week with another edition of the Roger Cador Show. Till then, go Jags.